Welcome back to the Championship Wrap. I'm Jenna Bruff, and here with me we've got Andrew Henderson. Great start for you this weekend, Hendo.
Fantastic start for us this weekend. We faced the Catalan Dragons there on Saturday, and it was a really important game for us, Jenna.
Sitting comfortable now.
Yeah, well, it was second versus third, and like I said, Catalans were, they've been in pretty impressive form in the Super League of late. They've won 6 out of their last 7 games, and obviously they had a disappointing result in the Challenge Cup against Hull the week before. So it was an important game in terms of they were 4 points behind us. It just gives us that little bit more breathing space as we try and push for that top 2 finish, and just probably keeps Catalan a little bit at bay there, because had they defeated us on the weekend, they then got within 2 points of us for that second spot. So yeah, it's just given us that opportunity to just keep forward and keep progressing as a team what we want to do, and it just keeps them at bay a little bit. So important game for us on the weekend. Brilliant. A good performance.
Thanks for that, Hendo. Let's look at the Betfred Championship round 16 action. First up, our feature game, York v Toulouse. Let's see how it unfolds.
York on the attack now. Jubb out of dummy half. Goes out the back to Robinson. Nice short pass to Teamby. Oh, Teamby! He's over! He gets over the top of Toulouse defenders. Marion, wide ball now to Robben. Stan Robben out the back to Bartow. Nice face pass from Bartow. And that's a great try for Jusame. And they level the scores. Wide ball from Jubb. Tip on there from Harris. Sam Scott out the back to Robinson. Short ball to Brad Hay. And Brad Hay, I think he's going to be over. Yes, he is. That's a good, well-executed move there from the York City Knights. They extend their lead. Wide ball now to Reban. He shows inside to play out the back now to Anthony Marion. And that's a well-weighted short pass from Marion. And that's a great try for James Bell, the former New Zealand Warrior. Into the second half now, and Jubb's out of dummy half again. Nice inside ball from Graham Horner, Matty Marsh. He's got support inside and out. He goes inside to Harris, and that's a fantastic team try from the York City Knights. Ball goes to Vai, turns it up now to Robban. He shows short, plays at the back to Bartow. That's a great ball from Bartow to Paul Marcon to finish in the corner. Great response from Toulouse Olympique. Coming into the dying minutes of the game. High kick now from Raban. Marcon's going to challenge for it. Is that a knock on or not? I'm not sure. It says play on, says James Child. And Jusame! Could this be the match winner? That's a great try from Jusame. James Child was on the spot, and that's full time. What a win for Toulouse Olympique. 25 points to 18.
Toulouse 25, York 18. Fantastic. What a result there. What are your thoughts on that game, Hendo?
Well, it was second versus third, wasn't it? York obviously in impressive form, Toulouse in impressive form. You had 2 good quality teams going at it, and if I'm being honest with you, Jenna, some controversial circumstances surrounding the outcome of the game. We see the late try and the highlights here from Jusame. It seemed to me, and I don't know what you thought about it, but it seemed to me that Paul Marcon probably knocked that ball forward as he attempted to try and bat it back. Referee James Child thought it was fair. He was in a good position to judge it. He said it was play on, and obviously Jusame scores. Off the back of that, William Bartow gets a late drop goal to seal the victory in the end. But, it was an important fixture for both teams. Unfortunately for York, they now drop a couple of places down to 5th on points difference. Toulouse stay in the top 2, but it was a really, really good contest between 2 good quality teams. York will feel a little aggrieved that they didn't get more from the game, but Toulouse, obviously in tough conditions, managed to come through and get the result.
Right, next up we've got Bradford v Batley, 16-0. What a defeat.
Well, what a defeat for Batley. I mean, they've been in pretty reasonable form in recent weeks, Jenna. Important result for Bradford. They've had 4 losses in a row, so they've had a little bit of a slump in recent weeks, and obviously the disappointment of the Challenge Cup exit as well for John Keir and his men. So I think it was an important win for Bradford. The young winger, Foggin Johnson, was quite impressive on the wing again. There's not much of him, but he can finish a try, and he's very industrious in his work rate. He again was impressive for them on the weekend. But like you said, a good defensive display from Bradford. To nil any team at any level is a tough assignment, and I thought Bradford were really, really strong defensively. Like I said, an important win for them as they needed to keep their top 5 hopes alive.
And what about the next one here then? Dewsbury 66, Rochdale 10.
Didn't see this one coming, Jenna. 66-10. I mean, I knew it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a tight game. You had two teams there that are struggling near the basement of the competition. But Dewsbury, wow, Lee Green will be so not only relieved but he'd be impressed with that team performance, because that's a high scoring affair. 66 points to put that on any team is a tough ask. And Liam Finn, very instrumental to a lot of the good stuff that Dewsbury produced on the weekend. He scored his 500th career point, on the day as well, which was fantastic for him as a personal milestone. But again, that was a really, really impressive performance. Rochdale, again, I just don't know where they're going to pick up their next result from. I mean, it's desperate times for the Rochdale Hornets at the moment. I know they've made the coaching change, we did see some small improvements within their game since Matt Callan's come in, but unfortunately, I'm just not sure they've got the cattle there to get them out of this predicament that they find themselves in. So, fantastic there for the Dewsbury Rams.
Next up, we've got Leigh v Halifax, 31-8. 6th home league win on the bounce for Leigh.
Fantastic result for them. 31 points against a very good Halifax side is no mean feat, is it? And I think John Duffy's got his men playing really, really well. I've said it in previous weeks. The balance of that Leigh squad looks really good to me at the moment. I think Greg McNally, he was really, really impressive on the weekend. Had a hand in 3 of their tries. Made a real massive try-saving tackle for them in the second half. I don't think Halifax were helped by the fact that Scott Morrell had to leave the field from a late challenge. They lost their talisman, they lost their general, so to speak, in the middle, and he obviously controls a lot of the play, or the good play and productive play that Halifax produce. And unfortunately, I think losing him was a real blow to the Halifax team. But take nothing away from Leigh. I thought from the start to finish, they were in control of the game. Halifax didn't have too much of a say at all throughout the whole process. There was a bit of fisticuffs in the second half. It got a little bit heated. Tempers were boiling over there. A few scuffles there, but just to make things tasty and liven things up. But a really comprehensive result there for the Leigh Centurions, and they stay in the top 5. And Halifax, I think, are now 2 or possibly 4 points out of that top 5 now. So they've still got a bit of work to do to get in there.
Right, next up we've got Sheffield 18, Featherstone 38. 3 straight losses now for Sheffield. Where are we going?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, Jenna. Where are they going? They're going downwards, aren't they, at the moment? They're in a bit of a slump. Like you said, they've got off to a great start to the season, Sheffield, didn't they? Really come out the blocks. Were in impressive form for a number of weeks there. But in recent weeks, things haven't been going to plan. Featherstone, and I've mentioned them a few weeks ago, they're really going under the radar at the moment. And I think, certainly the dual reg agreement with Leeds is proving to be quite fruitful. I mean, Ashton Goulding was playing on the weekend for them, and they've had a whole host of other quality players from that Leeds Rhino side being interjected, throughout the competition each week. So I think that's been real positive and real fruitful for them. But that's a great result for the Featherstone Rovers away at Sheffield, which is a tough place to go on the 4G pitch. Disappointing for Mark Aston and his men. They've got to get back to the drawing board and maybe just focus on getting back to doing the basics well at the moment. I've watched them the last couple of weeks, and some of their execution of skill hasn't been quite on the money. Coming up with too many errors and giving teams too much opportunity with the ball. So they need to just tidy a few things up there for me. But fantastic result for the Featherstone Rovers, and they just keep building and building towards the back end of this season. And if they continue to produce this form, they could be a real dark horse for promotion at the back end.
Next up, we've got Widnes 38, Barra 14. What's your thoughts on that, Hinder?
Well, a much-needed win for the Widnes Vikings. For them, they welcomed Anthony Gelling back into the team. He's been out for a number of weeks with injury. So I think it was, that certainly gave them a lift and gave them a boost. But their form's been really indifferent in recent weeks, Jenna. And like I said, they had a real great start of the season and then have just kind of dropped off the horse a little bit. And just their performance levels just haven't been on the money. But that was a good performance for them. It's a tough place to go to at Barrow. And Barrow have showed some improving and encouraging signs in recent weeks, but it was a comprehensive performance for the Widnes Vikings.
Okay, the last game of the round 16 championship, we've got Swinton 14, Toronto 34. We've also got John Wilkin on his 500th appearance, and Andrew Dixon scored the opening try on his 200th appearance. Yeah,
look, I'll tell you something, the build-up to this game was quite remarkable, wasn't it? We've had to deal with a few things. I mean, Swinton, from a marketing point of view, I thought did a fantastic job, really promoted the game well, plenty of ticket offers on there. So, you've got to give their marketing and backroom team a massive rap for trying to, really drum up the support for, what is it? It's a big occasion having the Toronto Wolfpack come to town. But also we need to talk about the controversy surrounding, the former CEO and chairman, David Argyle, who obviously leading into the game this this week was exposed for some racial slander that obviously is currently being investigated at the moment. David obviously put a formal statement and apology out to Jose Kenga, who was a Swinton Lions player, and obviously subsequently decided to resign from his position as CEO and chairman. Like I said, we know the RFL are currently investigating it further.
Yeah.
So it was a shame that the game, the build up to the game, was probably surrounded with some sort of circumstances as such as that. But it is what it is, and the show had to go on. And Swinton put on a really good show, Jenna. I just felt, they know they're up against it. They're a part-time side coming up against a side, let's be honest, that is equipped for Super League, and like I said, they certainly didn't let their fans down. They competed hard. It was tough conditions, and I felt that the conditions probably allowed Swinton to just slow the tempo of the game down a little bit, which played into their hands to some degree. But I'll tell you what, Stuart Little he's really got his men firing. They've been competitive all season. Results weren't going their way at the start of the season. They've picked up a few recent results in recent weeks, and like I said, they've competed well with a very good Toronto Wolfpack side. A good all-round team performance for the Toronto Wolfpack. Job done, I should say. Not their most comprehensive of performances, but they got the job done in what was potentially could have been a tricky game for them. And the Swinton Lions, full credit to them for putting on a good show and performing well.
That's all from round 16. Now let's look at round 17 fixtures for next week. Toronto v Dewsbury. I'm back in Toronto. Who are you backing?
Oh, you're back in Toronto, are you?
100%.
Surprise, surprise, Jenna. Surprise, surprise.
Favourite backer?
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm along with you there. I think Toronto at home will be too strong for a Dewsbury Rams side that we buoyed with a lot of confidence off their emphatic victory against the Rochdale Hornets on the weekend. I mean, I know they scored 66 points. And to be fair, Dewsbury early in the season, if we recall, did push and probably should have beaten Toronto at home that day in what was horrendous conditions. They really shot themselves in the foot in that game. But I just don't think the Toronto Wolfpack will underestimate the Dewsbury Rams this week, and I think we'll be too strong at home.
Next up, we've got Toulouse v Swinton. I'm going to go Toulouse, obviously at home, coming off the back of a win. Yeah,
I agree with you. I think at home, we've seen this season, they've been pretty strong at home, haven't they? And they've been winning quite well at home as well. So I think it's going to be a tough ask for the Lions. Again, they're a part-time team, come up against a full-time team over in the south of France. We know as well there's challenges that's going to be faced with that from a logistical point of view. And I just think Toulouse, they'll just be too strong on the day at home against the Swinton Lions.
Next up, Barra against Halifax.
Interesting game, this one. Barrow, important for them that they need to try and get some form and get a result. They're in the bottom two now at the moment. They're coming up against the Halifax side that have, obviously been in reasonable form of late. Got off to a great start under Simon Grix and got a good winning run. Obviously, they've had a couple of losses in recent weeks. I know they had the Challenge Cup victory against Bradford, but a couple of losses in the Championship in recent weeks against Batley and more notably on the weekend as well. So, I think Halifax will probably be too strong for them. I think the important thing for me is Scott Morrell. He obviously had to come off on the weekend with an injury. Will he be fit to play? I think if he's not in the team this week, that may just disrupt them a little bit. But I still would think that I'd expect that Halifax would have a little bit too much quality.
I'll go against you then.
To get the job done there.
I'll go Barrow.
You're going to go for Barrow? All right, I'll tip a Halifax win only just.
Next one, we've got Batley in 9th place against Sheffield in 6th place.
Ooh.
Bit of a clash there.
What do you think? Who are you going for?
I'm going to go for Batley.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to go with you on that one as well. I think Batley's form has certainly improved in the past month. They've had some really great results. I know they'll be disappointed that they didn't perform well enough on the weekend away at Bradford. I think back at home, they're facing a side in Sheffield that they'll know are on the down at the moment. This is a really important game. Important, obviously, for Batley to keep progressing and keeping away from the foot of the table. But for Sheffield, if they've got real genuine top 5 hopes this year, this is a game they have to be winning. Really important that they go there to get the job done. I'm sure Mark Aston will have his men ready to go, but I think it's going to be a real tight, close game. And I think Batley are going to nick this. I'm with you on that one, Jenna. I think we'll see Batley win.
Let's go next one, Featherstone Widnes. I'm going to go Featherstone. They're doing well.
Yeah, this is another great game. This is what I love about the championship. You just can't. There's some real tasty fixtures each week, and like I said, you've got a team like Featherstone who are in really, really good vein of form at the moment, playing really well, playing with confidence and a freedom of expression. And like I said, they're scoring some points as well at Featherstone at the moment, as well as defensively being very good too. They're not conceding a lot. I think they're one of the form teams of the competition, apart from Toronto. Featherstone for me are really, really impressive. Hence why they're sitting third. But I think Widnes, I'm going to tip Widnes for this one. I think form suggests that Widnes will probably lose because they've not had the best of results in recent weeks. They've had an encouraging performance up there against the Barrow Raiders, and I think my gut's just going to tell me that I think Featherstone are due a loss. They've been in great form, but I think the Widnes Vikings are going to nick this one.
We'll see next week.
We'll see.
Yeah, we've got Leigh in 4th place, Bradford in 7th.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Bradford.
Oh yeah? You're going to tip Bradford? I'm going
Yeah.
to tip Leigh. I think Leigh at home against Bradford. And again, Bradford are another team that haven't been in the greatest of form in recent weeks. Impressive win at home there against Batley. You know, a real gutsy performance there. You know, nilling the opposition was encouraging for them. But I just think they're facing a Leigh side that have, like I said, is a well-balanced team that's playing well, playing confidently. They're at home. And I just think there's going to be a little bit too much quality for the Leigh side on the day for the Bradford Bulls. I think Bradford will go there. I think they'll be determined. I think they'll be dogged. But I'm just not confident that they're going to have enough in the tank to get the job done at Leigh. So I'm tipping a Leigh win.
Last fixture of the round 17, we've got York in 5th place, Rochdale in 14th. I'm definitely going York. They deserve it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't see anything more than a York win. I just think mentally, Rochdale are probably gone. You know, I think. You know, for me, I think the loss at Barrow a couple of weeks ago for them, the manner in which they lost that game, they were playing a team that was one place above them, and I think, you know, at the time they'd had some encouraging signs. There was some slight improvement in them since Matt Callens took over, and albeit they hadn't got the results, you saw enough encouraging signs that, hey, do you know what, they could go there and get a result against Barrow, and Barrow absolutely smashed them, really just mauled them. Really, it was a huge result for them up there, and I just don't think they've recovered from that, and hence, you know, like they've backed it up with a poor result and performance at Dewsbury, and I just don't think mentally there's going to be enough resolve in there to go and get the job done. So I think York will certainly be hurting off the back of that disappointing or controversial loss to the Toulouse side on the weekend, and I think they'll certainly make Rochdale pay this week.
That's all from the Championship wrap. Thanks to Hendo for joining me. We'll see you all next week as we review the round 17 from the Betfred Championship.